From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTimeAngles. And we have ourselves big Saturday college football coming up. Well, one of our first big Saturdays coming up in college football. We'll have plenty of these each and every weekend because it seems like there's a lot of teams that are ranked in some of these Power 5 conferences. As you can see, you have 8 in the Pac-12. So you're getting what? 4 different top 25 matchups this weekend alone. I think it's I know it's about 3 at least, you know what I mean? So we have that. You also have the SEC, who's always packed with a lot of top 25 teams as well too, but they don't have too many of those matchups this weekend. But they do have one that's significant. And also the ACC having pretty much their game of the year with Clemson and Florida State. And that's going to be the first game that we're going to jump into. So as you guys can see, Florida State coming into this game 3-0, number 4 in the nation. And then you have Clemson, who's 2-1, who lost on opening night on Labor Day to Duke of all teams. And a lot of people did not see that one coming, but hey, it is what it is. We are here now in week 4, and you know what? You got to just get over it. And now we're here. We got Florida State, Clemson. You know, we expected this to be a big-time undefeated matchup and all that good stuff, but this is one of those matchups that still loom the danger for the Seminoles. Why? Because the Seminoles are a team with the target on their back now. They're number 4 in the nation. They're playing their best football that they've played since the last time they won a national championship, pretty much. They have one of the better quarterbacks in the nation as well, too. But he might be a little shaky coming into this game. I think he was a little banged up in the Boston College game. You also have a team that has a really good defense. That's the one thing that Florida State has done very well. But the defense is not a closer. That's what the problem is. And they literally had to hang on to the thread of their seats to literally beat the Boston College Golden Eagles. So you have a lot of different elements going into this game. You have Florida State, who's probably looking ahead to the future a little bit too early. And you have Clemson, a team that probably was looking into the future a little bit too early, probably about 3 weeks too early. So when you get down to the nitty-gritty, to the numbers of this game, you have everything favoring FSU. But the one thing that works out for Clemson is Clemson hasn't lost to FSU in Death Valley in 20 years. So I need to look that up. Don't quote me on that. But it's been a while since Florida State's beaten Clemson in Death Valley. And we all know that. And this is a huge, huge game. But one thing that's going to have to happen, though, they're going to have to play some defense in this game as well, too, because Clemson's already shown that they're not the team of old that they used to be. So when I really look at this game, I truly do feel that when you break down the numbers and you really look at the momentum that Florida State's coming in here with, I know that they're coming fresh off of a game that they should have probably – that they could have lost. It's not that they should have lost the game. They could have lost the game, but those were really late garbage time points, and then they did the great job of making sure they closed the game out. They made sure, okay, we can stop the bleeding. That's something that's very significant that you have to look at. Clemson, on the other hand, when the going got tough, they kind of just threw up the white flag. And I truly do feel that's going to be the difference in this game. I'm taking Florida State with the money line minus 135, and we go from there. Let's go ahead and move on to which probably will be the most talked about game, probably the most sought out game, and that's going to be Colorado, number 19, 3-0, going against Oregon, 3-0, number 10. This is Deion's first game going into the Pac-12 conference, and this is huge because he's going against who a lot feel are the best in the conference in Oregon, and some will argue and say it's going to be USC. Some will argue and say it's Utah. Some will argue and say it's Washington. But today, it's going to be Oregon. Saturday. So with that, you have a very keen matchup between these two teams that you have a lot of people who are ready to watch Deion and his crew get absolutely obliterated especially after what happened last week. There was a lot of things that happened in that game that were very unnecessary. From the late hit on Travis Hunter and from Shadur Sanders thinking that it was okay to put his finger in somebody's eyes because he was mad that he was getting sacked and harassed the whole game. It's starting to become a little bit too much of an ego twist with this team, and I think that they need to be brought back to reality. That's what a lot of people are thinking. So now they have went from being heroes to somewhat being villains coming into this game, and also being kind of a charity case because a lot of people were so quick to want to suspend everybody once Travis Hunter got hurt with a simple football play that a lot of people probably will say, oh, it was a late hit, it was this, that, and the third. Man, it was football. I've seen guys get lit up even crazier than that. Not one flag got thrown. Luckily, a flag was thrown. They got a penalty, and everybody on Colorado's side understood it was football. Everybody who's rooting for Colorado wants to kill the dude. So it's just it's getting a little bit out of hand, and now we're starting to kind of protect the team that you don't really need to protect in Colorado because at the end of the day, this is a show and prove sport, and they have to keep showing improving. And this game is the biggest test that they have in front of us. Oregon has really the most pressure ever because everybody's expecting them to blow them away. Oregon has the quarterback who's like 30 years old already in Bo Nix, who should be able to dominate this Colorado defense that's absolutely pathetic. You know what I mean? Let's keep it real. They're not a good defense, all right? And I say that in very nicely because they literally sat there and let Colorado State drop 35 points on them. Colorado State couldn't even get past the 10-point mark against Washington State. So it goes to show you that there's levels to this. Washington State has an established defense. Colorado is still trying to figure it out. There will be some things, though, that they'll do that Oregon hasn't seen yet. And that's what the best part of having an NFL head coach, NFL player as your head coach, and having former NFL staff members as his assistants. So this should be something that helps Colorado stay in the game and stay competitive. I don't know if they win, but I know one thing, they're going to cover that 21-point spread. So I'm going to go ahead and take that, and we move forward from there. So pretty much next we have ourselves Ole Miss and Alabama. Ole Miss is coming in here 3-0. Then you have Alabama coming in here 2-1. I talked about Alabama yesterday, talking about are they still elite, and this game right here is going to prove my point if they're still elite. I truly do think that Alabama really is still them dudes. It's just that they had to have a little bit of motivation here early in the season. They just seem so bored to start the year. Now Alabama has motivation on their hand. They're going to probably go ahead and go back to the quarterback that was the guy in Kilroy. And I think that last week was the biggest wake-up call that ever. They literally see now that they are everybody's Super Bowl when they play against them. If they're not one of these, if they're not the Georgias of the world, if they're not the Alabama, if they're not the Ohio States of the world, they just know that everybody's going to play their absolute best game against them now. It's not going to be any more of this, oh, we're already intimidated. We've already lost the game. The Mike Tyson effect, the Mike Tyson aura has left the Alabama Crimson Tide. But all in all, this is the perfect bounce back game for a team that you're doubting, because Ole Miss is a team that feels like they're ready to enter the next phase in the game. Alabama knows that they're going to have to take this game very seriously, because if they lose, they're not going to the national championship this year. They could just forget about that part, because you can't have two losses. Everybody knows that now until next year. So Alabama is really looking at this game as if it's the SEC championship. And yeah, it's early in the season, but the pressure is on. And I think that when it comes to who Nick Saban has, they can handle pressure very well. And now nobody's taking them as seriously as they should. I think everybody's trying to write off Alabama at this point, and they really do feel Ole Miss does have a great opportunity to win this game. I don't think so. I think that Alabama wins this by 10 or better, and I'm taking Alabama to win the game. No issues at all with that. That's where I'm going, and that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and move forward from there. And talk about our another Pac-12 game that we have here, and that's going to be this one right here. That's going to be number 22 UCLA at number 11 Utah. Both teams are 3-0 coming into the game. You have a Utah team that's hell-bent on making sure they run the table this year. They feel like they can be a team that can compete with the big boys, and they're a year out from being in the Big 12. Things are going to change a little bit, because now you go to a conference that's a little bit more, a little bit more your style in a sense. I think Utah has always been kind of more of a Big 12 team than a Pac-12 team in a sense, because they're physical, they play good defense, and then they have like a real, bang bang offense. It's all physicality with them. It's all about being physical, and I think they're perfect for the Big 12. And they're going into this game with the attitude that we need to get our revenge, because UCLA beat us up and down the field last year and pretty much ruined our opportunity at being a part of the national championship picture. So we have to get that one back. UCLA is looking at this situation that they have this top-notch freshman quarterback from Detroit who's an absolute stud, an absolute gem. He might be better than the kid over at SC right now, and he's only a freshman. But these are games where you're still a work in progress, and this is one of those games that's going to define exactly who you truly are, and it's going to be one of the toughest games of his career. And I know that in my heart, I want to take UCLA, but for my brain and for my wallet, I have to be smart about this. I know the woes that UCLA has had going to Utah. When Utah has been a bad team, UCLA has gone to Utah and got smoked. When Utah has been a great team, UCLA has went to Utah and got smoked. It's just they get smoked when they go to Utah. It's that simple. So I wanted to take UCLA. The plus 165 looked so good, but I think the minus 4.5 is an absolute gem. It's an absolute steal. And the only reason why they're making this game somewhat close is because the element of this quarterback being in the game and the unknown. That's the whole thing. They don't know what he's going to do in this game. I think that Utah is going to have a good game plan for him, and he's going to learn by fire how tough college football truly is. So I'm taking Utah with the 4.5. I think that they do go ahead and take care of their business and have themselves a very, very, very thorough game against the Bruins. All right, so we move forward. Let's jump into Oregon State and WAZZU. Both teams are 3-0. You have Oregon State number 14. You have WAZZU number 21 in the nation. And it's funny with this game is because when you look at it, you say to yourself, damn, how many, like I already said, how many Pac-12 teams do we have in this top group? You have 8 ranked teams. 6 of them are playing each other. So that's just incredible. You know what I mean? So you have Oregon State, who I think is one of the more underrated teams in the nation right now. A lot of people are sleeping on Oregon State and what they're capable of doing. And Washington State's one of the more underrated teams in college football as well, too. So this is an under-the-radar epic battle, in my opinion. I think that this one right here will be a game that's going to go much further than the game that gets played on Saturday. The winner will wind up being more confident in being the spoiler of the Washingtons, of the USCs, of the Utahs, of the Oregons, and the Colorados now. You know what I mean? They want to be the team that literally is fearless going against those teams. And that's how I feel about both these squads, because they know they have been pretty much abandoned by the other 10 teams. Think about it. Think about it. These are the only 2 that didn't get chosen. They're the only 2 that didn't get chosen. Cal, Stanford, they're awful products, but they still got picked up by the ACC. And then Arizona State, Arizona, awful products. They still got picked up by the Big 12. But they looked at Washington State. They looked at Oregon State and said, nah, we're cool, we straight. But the Pac-12 wants to keep them. So that should go to show you that these teams, both of them, are more than likely pissed off with the rest of the conference for not looking out. And they're going to make them pay, especially their interstate rivals in Washington and Oregon. I'm telling you right now, they better watch their back, because if I was running either one of these schools, I'm pissed. You didn't have my back when you were supposed to have my back. But when it comes down to this game right here, I truly do feel that Oregon State is going to be good enough in this spot to get themselves a nice, thorough win. I just feel like they just know how to take care of their business when it comes down to these big games, especially against teams like Washington State. So that's why I'm going with Oregon with the minus 145. I know I'm kind of going with the favorites a little bit more than some would like, but I just really feel like these are oversells of dogs in these games this weekend. And that's one right there. I feel like Oregon State's going to go into Pullman and pull off a great victory, but it's not going to be a game where I can trust the spread, but I can trust spending a little bit extra to get the money line. So let's move forward and jump into our next game, which is going to be the Iowa Hawkeyes versus the Penn State Nittany Lions. This is going to be a awesome matchup between these two. Always a great game between these two old rivals in the old Big Ten. So pretty much you have an Iowa team that's now ranked just on time. They do this every time. A team starts off 3-0. They just beat their interstate rival. They just had a big blowout win, because Iowa did just have a big blowout win. And then, you know what? Let's put them in the top 25. Because we have a top 10 team, and we got to figure out a way to see if these guys are really real and if they deserve to be in the top 10. That's the test that Penn State has this week. A lot of people are not talking about it right now, but Penn State is loaded. They have a great unit. They have a team that is absolutely clicking on all cylinders. I won't say this is James Franklin's best bunch, but they could be. That's the whole thing. And they have all that senior leadership that teams need to move forward and really chase a national championship. This is not just about winning the Big Ten for Penn State this year. It's about winning the national championship, getting back to the good old Joe Paterno days. You know what I mean? Where Penn State was the elite of the elite, the one of one, the school that ran the whole state of Pennsylvania. They didn't have any company. And pretty much now they want to get that part back. So Penn State is in a position to go into this game and really make a point. Iowa, we all know, is a great defensive team, but can they find the offense? Last week they did. They dropped a rare 40 points in a game. Unbelievable. but that was against a team that they're supposed to beat. Now they come back into this one. It's going to be seen as a great game, and it's going to be a lot of wise guys dog bet of the week. A lot of people are going to take Iowa straight up to win this game because it's a lot of value in Iowa going into this game. But there's a reason why there's a lot of value going into Iowa in this game, because they're going to Happy Valley. Happy Valley has never been that nice to Iowa. Iowa's always good against Penn State when they got to play them in Iowa. I think what happens here is Penn State sends an absolute message to Iowa, and they get themselves a blowout win here. I'm taking the 14.5. I think they win this game by 20 points or better, to be honest with you. I truly do think that they will run the table on Iowa, and they are not going to leave any stone unturned in this game. They want to send a message, and they want to make sure Ohio State and Michigan know that they ain't going to be no easy out when it comes to playing against the Nittany Lions. So with that, let's go ahead and move forward to our final game before we take our first break, and that's going to be the game of the week, and that's going to be number 6, Ohio State, going against number 9, Notre Dame, with the -3 spread, with the +3 spread to Notre Dame, a rare Notre Dame being the road home dog situation. But, it's Ohio State, a team that absolutely owns Michigan, that absolutely owns Notre Dame. I was going to say Michigan. They used to own Michigan. Now, they still own Notre Dame, though. And Notre Dame is a team that really is turning the corner right now. And they had to go get one of Ohio State's old coordinators, old linebackers, to go ahead and be their head coach. Even though he's one of the younger head coaches in all of college football, he's doing a damn good job with Notre Dame, and he's pushing Notre Dame to the levels and heights that they wanted to be at by bringing in this coach. They wanted to make sure that they didn't miss a beat with Brian Kelly leaving. Well, it didn't start off that way. They wound up losing their first 4 out of 5 games last year. It was a true rites of passage for old coach. And the greatest thing that happened to him over the summer was Sam Hartman saying, "I'm on my way." Sam Hartman decided to join his brother and go play up at Notre Dame and be their golden boy. And he understands that this is going to skyrocket his draft status as well, too. So that's why he went to Notre Dame, and that's why Notre Dame is playing on a elite level right now. This team, to me, if they were to win this game, they would wind up being in the mix to be in the Final Four and possibly be in the national championship, because they have a team that can play in the national championship. Sounds crazy today, but they'll put it together when it all needs to be done. And I truly do feel that. And this will be their biggest test. Now, Ohio State, been there, done that. Even Kyle McCord, even though he wasn't the starting quarterback for those games, Kyle McCord's been at Ohio State. He's learned a lot. You know what I mean? And he's seen a lot. And when you have the best playmakers on the field on your side, there's going to be things that you can do that you aren't going to be able to do with just regular players. And I know Kyle McCord is not sexy. He's not the guy that's running up and down the field and doing spins and then throwing an 80-yard bomb down the field, making, getting touchdowns in 3 plays, all that good stuff. He is an old school, traditional Ohio State managing quarterback. Okay, that's exactly what he is. The run game is everything for Ohio State. The passing game is complementary now. Those guys are luxuries. They're not necessities anymore. But the offensive line is the star right now, in my opinion. And if that offensive line can get tenacious and stay tough, Notre Dame's going to have a long day. And Notre Dame has one of the better defenses in the nation, and that's their calling card. So if Ohio State can dominate this Notre Dame defense, then there's no chance Notre Dame's going to win this game. But if they get down and they turn this into a conservative game on each side, Notre Dame is right there in this thing. And I truly do think that Ohio State has to go into this with the mentality that this is a early bowl game or this is an early playoff game, because that's exactly the way that this game is setting up. Last year, Notre Dame was up, and they literally just were too green. Their coach was just too green to win that game. They didn't have enough to win that game. This year, they have enough to win that game. They have a much better quarterback in the stable. So this is going to be one of the best games of the season. And really, these teams should be 4-5 in reality, in my opinion, or 3-4 coming into this game. But we're going to just take it the way it is, 6-9. They're both still in the top 10, and neither will drop off that far unless it's an absolute blowout. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But man, exciting stuff, man. I love talking college football with you guys, and I hope you guys love hearing me talk about college football. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break, and when I get back, we will jump into some Major League Baseball. So you know what's up. It's Blue Crew Daily, MLB Wednesday Night, and we have our 3 most important games of the day. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
What's up? What's up? What's up? We are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. So pretty much, I know you guys be looking at me and be like, man, why is he looking everywhere? You guys are gonna understand. I'm hosting the show. I'm doing all the graphics to put everything in place. So you have to understand, I got to be multifaceted. So let's go ahead, jump into Blue Crew Daily. Dodgers win 3-2 to secure series versus Tigers. What to expect tonight in the finale? Now, shout out to Bristol Gradiel last night. He was able to reunite with his mother for the first time in like 7-8 years. She came from Venezuela, so he was able to get some strikeouts and stuff last night, something that's been kind of rare for him this year as well too. I've been really disappointed in that guy, but that's a very, very nice moment for him, and hopefully this will boost him into having a good playoff series. But let's go ahead, break this down real quick. The Dodgers last night won themselves a nice pitching duel last night and everything like that. And they didn't need much to do it. They just went ahead, took care of their business, and won that game 3-2 last night. Tonight, they have a game that looks like it should be a very formidable game, but Reese Olson is not that bad of a pitcher. He actually has been pretty good in his last 4 starts, to be exact. He's only given up 4 runs, and he's also struck out 23 batters in that time as well, too. And he hasn't went anywhere longer than 7 innings, but they're all 7 strong innings. The most hits he's given up in the last 4 games was 4. And funny thing is, he struck out 1, but he gave up no runs that day. So that's something that's very commendable, is very respectable. And so you have to take him a lot more seriously than you would assume in this pitching spot, because he does still have a 4.30 ERA, 4-7 record. He has a hold as well too. But we all know that he's a guy who's not getting much run support. But when you look at this kid, you say to yourself, as he keeps going, he should be fine because I look at him right now, he's 6'1", 160. He gained some more weight, things like that. He can be one of the more consistent pitchers. And we all know that the Tigers are really building something over there in Detroit right now as well, too. So that's something that's very commendable with that team. And you know that they have a plan. And this guy should be a part of it. He's doing really well. You got to just go ahead and not worry about the 4-7 record and look at the numbers, the real numbers, because you have to understand pitchers don't always get the run support that they need to be successful pitchers. It's because they didn't get no runs. And I always tell people this. Everybody always used to blame Clayton Kershaw after losing a 3-0 game in the playoffs, but I say to you guys all the time, Clayton didn't get any damn runs. So if he didn't get any runs, then how's he going to be able to win the game for you? You know what I mean? And I think that I talk like this because I was a pitcher. You know what I mean? I played first base, pitcher, catcher, all that good stuff. But I used to love to pitch. And I know if I'm not getting any runs, eventually I'm going to give up some runs. You know what I mean? But if you give me 5 runs, I'm going to be that much more confident to get all 3 of these guys out. If I know you can't get me any runs and I'm in a pitcher, just do it with this guy, I'm starting to think way too much and I'm trying to get way too cute out here. And I'm trying to overpower somebody when I should just be trying to finesse him out. Or I'm trying to finesse too much when I should be overpowering the guy. See, it's just too much thinking going on. And if I got to go through 3 or 4 innings of you guys not scoring runs, it becomes a problem. So it's on all of us, not just the pitcher. So that's what people have to understand about baseball. They put way too much emphasis on starting pitching. It's a whole full unit that has to show up in a sport that's really an individual sport, but with a team behind it. You feel what I'm saying? So I look at Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller is a great example of a guy that gets great run support, but he also has the confidence of his pitching coach, the veterans on the staff as well too, and he's been taken in as the future of the Dodgers pitching. And this guy, he hasn't, to me, done well in his last 2, but he's doing enough. He struck out 8 against Washington, but gave up 5 runs. Then he goes to Seattle, struck out 7, gave up 3 runs. The Dodgers, though, funny thing is, they won the game in Seattle, and the game in Washington was a no decision. So this guy just keeps on churning, and he's done well. He's 10-3 right now. He's putting 107 innings as well too, and he struck out a high number. He's going for his 100th strikeout already in his early career, and you got to understand he came up mid-summer of all things, and pretty much he's now at 99 strikeouts as well too. Everybody's talking about this guy as rookie of the year, that guy is rookie of the year. Bobby Miller may be considered the rookie of the year because he has came in and solidified a spot that the Dodgers needed him to move forward to keep the consistent winning going, because the Dodgers, let's face it, are shorthanded when it comes to the pitching staff. So there's a lot of really good things going on with Bobby. And I think that tonight the Dodgers wind up going ahead and just sweeping the Tigers and calling it a day. You know what I mean? I just think that they know the Tigers are not that great of a team. They know that they're a work in progress. Why mess around with it tonight? We're throwing Bobby Miller out there tonight. We're going against Reese Olson. You got 2 young pitchers going at it tonight. It should be a good game, but it winds up with the Dodgers winning this game because it seems like Bobby's just been on the money as of late in a lot of these games when it comes to winning the game. He might not be on point to when it comes to, keeping runs down, but he's striking a lot of guys out and he's more confident by the game. And that's something that gets you really excited if you are a Dodgers fan. So with that, let's go ahead and we move forward and let's go ahead and talk about MLB Wednesday night. We have a lot of games going on right now as we speak. We have a lot of games going on, literally half the schedule going on. We got a full schedule today, but half the games are going on right now as we speak. So there's a lot going on. You know what I mean? So pretty much that's where we're at. I'm trying to, and I always hate when it's early days because I'm trying to get my clients these plays and everything like that. And then I'll always wind up, having to do the show and all that stuff. I'm going to get them right, but I'm just looking at this and I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? It's all this stuff started a little early, but you got the Braves who just got swept by the Phillies this week, losing that final game 6-5. That's absolutely nuts. But didn't I tell you guys that was coming? Because the Braves are resting up. But actually, I'm sorry, the Phillies won the series. They took 2 out of 3. Atlanta won yesterday 9-3. I thought that the Phillies won yesterday. Sorry about that. But the Phillies wound up winning again today, and that was pretty good for them. And then the Twins and the Reds went at it, and this was not a good day for the Reds. They wind up losing that game 5-3, and they wind up losing the series 2 out of 3 as well too. They started off with a bright spot, but then they lost the next 2 games. They got shut out yesterday. They lose 5-3 today. All this happens at home, and you just dropped your last 3 out of 4 as well too. The Reds can't really afford to lose if they're still trying to make the playoffs. You know what I mean? But we know, and the Reds know, that they're ahead of schedule, and it's okay. If they miss, it's fine because they are ahead of schedule. So let's go ahead and get into my first game that is a primetime game of the day, but it's a really important game as well too because the Rays got to keep consistent. It's going to be the Angels coming in here 68-83, going at the Rays, who are 93-59 coming into the game. So this should be a really, really fun game because you have Reed Detmers on the mound for the Angels, and then for the Rays, you have on the mound tonight is going to be Aaron Savali. Savali is fortunate because Savali was actually acquired from Cleveland, and Savali was one of their better pitchers, and nobody really understood why Savali was sent out because he was struggling a little bit when he was sent out. But sometimes teams just know they're going to have to pay a guy next year, so they just get rid of him. And a lot of people didn't understand why the Indians were kind of getting rid of certain players before the trade deadline as they were still chasing a playoff spot. Maybe it's because they didn't think they was going to get a playoff spot. That's why they did that. So pretty much, and then, sometimes you got to strike while the iron's hot so then you can restock the farm. It's that simple because sometimes you give up a lot with the farm to try to chase these World Series, and it just doesn't work. You saw what the Reds did. They stood pat. They went and got a guy, but there wasn't anything serious. And you saw what Baltimore did. They literally had to force themselves to go grab somebody because they're not trying to give up anything at the farm. That's the whole thing. And so now everybody's thinking like the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Think about it. You know what I mean? Detmers is having a terrible season, 3-10, but he struck out 154 batters this year. And, this guy can always brag and say that he had a no-hitter, and he struck out 12 in his last 2 games as well, too. So, that's something to tip your cap to. But all in all, though, Detmers is always a guy that really never gets any run support. Another example of what I was just talking about earlier. And then, in the games where he is doing pretty well, he always is giving up a good amount of runs as well, too. So it happens. It happens, especially when you're a strikeout pitcher. A lot of people don't understand that you're going to be a guy that gives up a lot of runs, too, as well, because you always got hittable pitches. That's the funniest part about being a strikeout pitcher. All right, so Savali's coming in here 7-3. That's because he's on a new team, and he's done well. He's struck out 8 in his last game. He went against Boston a few games back on the 4th of September and struck out 12. So at this point right now, he has 23 strikeouts over his last 3 games. But he's also given up 10 runs in his last 3 games as well, too, over 10 hits. And he's been only able to go 5 innings in each of those games. So when you look at this game and the way that it sets up, I like the Angels to keep it close. That's the whole thing because the Rays are chasing their playoff spot right now. But I still like the they already have that solidified. They're chasing the division right now. But I truly do think that the Angels are going to make them sweat today and make them work for this game. So we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into the Pirates and the Cubs. The Pirates and the Cubs, this is always a fun matchup because, these two absolutely can't stand each other. They've been going at it for a very, very long time. And this game sets up with the Cubbies AC The man himself, Mr. Justin Steele, is going to be on the mound today. And then you also have Mitch Keller, who's probably been the best thing going for the Pirates this year. Now, last game out, Mitch had a great game. Mitch went 8 shutout innings and went ahead, struck out 7 and walked 1 and only gave up 2 hits, and then was able to notch a win in that game as well too. That was a good bounce back from giving up 8 runs in the Atlanta game. And that's what it's like with Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller will give you 5 good games in a row, and then he's going to get popped. And that's exactly what happened. So what I'm feeling like in this game tonight is I feel like what happens here is that Mitch Keller keeps the good times rolling, because it seems like he'll give up 8 and then he'll have 5 straight really good games. Will he get the run support? That's the biggest question, because he's going at Justin Steele tonight. This is ace on ace. These games are always tough to call. But when you're the dog in this situation sometimes and it's a rival, I always like to go with the dog in these rivalry games, because I just feel like they're going to show up and show out for this game, because they know. And if anybody wants to spoil the Cubs fun, it would be the Pirates. So I like the Pirates as our dog of the day at plus 150. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right. So we have ourselves our final game, and it's going to be this one right here. It's going to be the Brewers at the Cardinals, another NL Central matchup. And you have a very, very, it's a matchup that has some pitchers in it that are not big names like that, but they get the job done, and that's what it's all about. So I look at the Brewers. They're coming into this one slight doggy dog, but both teams are in the minus, so you don't have a plus money line here. So you have Adrian Hauser, the old vet, going for the Brewers today. He's been decent in his last 3. He's given up 7, struck out 14, and he's given up 15 hits over the process as well too, and he's walked 2. I'm just going off his last 3 games. But it seems like he's a guy, either he's going to pitch very well or he's going to pitch decent, and he's going to give up possibly a run or 2 some games, but most of the time he's giving up 4 runs. You know what I mean? That's what I'm seeing here. And I think that with this game going against a team like the Cardinals, who are still good offensively but bad with the pitching, he's going to have to be very careful in this one, because this could be a game where it gets out of hand kind of early. You know what I mean? If he goes in there overthinking. Now, you do have Zach Thompson, who's a work in progress. He didn't do well last time out. He went 5 innings, gave 5 hits on 4 runs, struck out 4, walked 2. Game before that, gave up 3 runs, struck out 6. Game before that, gave up 3 runs, struck out 6. So he can get guys, he can strike guys out, but he has a tendency to be giving up a lot of hits, and these turn into runs. So what I'm doing with this one tonight is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the total opposite, because I know everybody's going to overbet the over tonight. I'm going to take the under tonight to be a little slick here. So with that, that's going to be our Brewers and Cardinals preview. And for this segment, we are a wrap. And now we go to our final commercial. And when I get back, you guys stay right where you're at, so then we can go over Talkin Tickets. So be cool. Stay right there. You know what to do. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, and it is time for Talking Tickets, my favorite subject, your favorite subject. And Nephew chimed in today, and he got something for us as well, too. If you guys need the prop plays today, he has Justin Still over 6Ks today. He also has George Kirby over 6.5 Ks, Reese Wilson over 2.5 earned runs. You also have Zach Thompson today over 5 hits, and then you have Kode Signa over 6.5 Ks, and then you have Gaussman 37.5 pitcher fantasy score, and 25 will get you 625 back. So that's just pretty much a 25-1 ticket as well. You know what I mean? That's all it is. It's a 60. It's a 25-1 ticket. Okay, because when you do a $50 bet, it would be $12.50. Okay, so I know off top, that's how long I've been dealing with odds, things like that. But that's where we're at. And thank you, Nephew, for kicking that in there for us. So all you prop players, there goes some props for you tonight. All right, let's jump into the WNBA playoff bets. We have the Sun tonight, -5.5. They're the road team. I know we're risking a little bit, but I feel like they do win this game, possibly by double digits tonight. Hopefully we get a 10-point win so we don't have to sweat this thing out too much. We got the over 80.5 first half tonight. That should absolutely crush. That should hit. And then we have the Lynx plus 130 first quarter. I expect the home team to come out, to protect their house, blase, do all the things that you're supposed to do to keep a game close, keep your crowd happy, and keep your crowd involved. And then late in the game, the Suns just, they just pull away with this thing. That's how I'm seeing this game tonight. And we end up with the Sun going over 80.5 team total tonight as well, too. So I need you ladies to be scoring some points. I need 21 points a quarter. Straight up average, 21 points a quarter. That finishes up with 84. So hopefully they get the message and we get that over as well, too. So let's go ahead and jump into our super high five for the late MLB tonight. We already got a bunch of early games going on as well, too. And pretty much we have the MLB Super High 5, 30-1, plus 1.5 with the Angels, -110. We also have the over 7.5 with the Mets and the Marlins. And then we also have the Blue Jays money line, -125. And then, as I said before, our dog of the day, the Pirates money line, plus 150. And then we wrap this thing up with the under 8.5 with the Brewers and the Cards. We're doing the opposite because it looks like it should be an over, but I think it's going to stick to being an under tonight. And hopefully the hook will be able to save us tonight as well, too. So with that, that's going to be our MLB bets for tonight and our WNBA bets for tonight. And then we wrap it up with Saturday. I know I'm doing this a little early, but I wanted to get it out the way today because I am going to give you guys the CFB conference bets list tomorrow as well, too. So you guys will have those ready, moving forward this week. Yeah, I'm excited, man. Conference, not fully conference play starting, but we're getting there. Majority of these games are conference games this weekend, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We have the CFB Super 7, though. We got the 48-1 ticket. We have FSU -135. We got Colorado plus 21. I got Alabama in here at -250. I know I'm tripping, but look, all right, hear me out. I just really like Alabama to win the game straight up because I don't know if they'll cover the game. I don't, because this is Lane Kiffin and his boys. You might need a field goal at the end of this thing, so I'm taking Alabama just to win so I don't have to worry about pushes or anything like that. And Alabama at -250 is not that bad. Actually, it's not bad at all. You know what I mean? Because these are the teams that take care of their business when they're supposed to take care of their business. So Alabama, take care of your business on Saturday. All right, so we have Utah 4.5, and I was going back and forth on this one as well too. I was really sorry. I was really gung-ho on the UCLA plus 165 upset, but I just truly feel that Utah is going to be in a get-back game. Every time they got to do a get-back game with UCLA in football, it doesn't work out well for UCLA. So I just don't want to be over here sweating out and getting pissed off at UCLA coming up short. So I do like Utah on the spot with the minus 4.5. I think they win this game by a touchdown or better. You got Oregon State in a very much 50-50 game. Washington State is more than capable of winning this game. I just think that Oregon State has the better coaching and a little bit better talent than Washington State. So I'm taking them with the minus 145. And then we have Penn State, who's ready to send an absolute message to Iowa, to Michigan, to Ohio State. They want everybody to know that they've arrived and they're coming for blood, and they're coming for that Big Ten title as well too. So this is a big game for them. I feel like they win it by 3 touchdowns or better. I know I'm being a little cocky, a little bit confident in the Nittany Lions, but I just truly feel that this team really does have what it takes to be a national title contender, and I truly do think that this is a great game to pretty much showcase exactly what you are. And we'll be able to see that on Saturday. And then we wrap it up with the Ohio State going into Notre Dame and knocking off the Fighting Irish. This, to me, is literally an early playoff game. Winner is going to be in the Final Four. I'm calling it now. Winner is going to be in the Final Four of the CFP. So I like Ohio State in this game because Ohio State has the better roster, just straight up. Even though Notre Dame has a better defense, the overall team of Ohio State is just much better than Notre Dame. And I think that when it comes down to it, the talent will show up and give Ohio State its big win of the season that it needs to move forward, because when Ohio State wins, they need to put them right at number 2, if not number 1. You know what I mean? Same thing goes for Notre Dame if they win the game as well too, because I feel like this game is not getting the love that it should be getting. This game should have both these teams 3-4 or 2-3. Let's keep it real. But this is going to be a good card, 48-1. Let's cash this bad boy. Let's get it home. All right. So with that, that's going to be a wrap on the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And I want to go ahead and send a big shout out to Nephew. Thank you for tuning in today. And much appreciation, much love to you, man. You always are faithful, loyal to the show as well too, and to everybody else that tunes into the show on a daily basis, thank you very much as well too. And if you missed the show today and you're watching this right now, make sure you share, you retweet, you do what you got to do. Let's get this movement moving. That's what I always say when I say keep the movement moving. That means that you take this content and you move it out for me as well too. I can't do it all on my own. So if you love me, you'll do it. So pretty much with that, that's going to be a wrap on today's show. I had a lot of fun with you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. We got Mike Abadir's show at 4 p.m. tomorrow as well too. I don't know if Jeff is going to be coming in. We are trying to figure that out. I'm going to get with him this afternoon to see if he's going to be available. But I'll be back tomorrow, so it looks like we'll have at least 2 shows tomorrow. So with that, thank you so much. And this, once again, is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.